Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today's the 18th of March 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then guys, let's quickly jump into the charts. Now the first one on the section here is the CAC40. Now maybe not a lot of you who look at this index, but it is very technical, let's put it that way. You can see that it continues to travel within this rising channel formation. Of course, I was talking about this one in one of my videos last week where I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on the 5,400 level, because a nice good push above that could lead towards further acceleration here to the upside. Now we're still aiming here the upper bound of this rising channel formation. That would be quite interesting to see if this index reaches that or not. But if this suddenly starts falling below the 5,400 level, now this is where you should become a little bit more cautious, and we could see a slide further down here, maybe even actually going towards areas like these here, which acted as a very good area of resistance on the 6th of March, but this time it could play the role of support, and that was approximately around the 5,328 zone, something like that, approximately there, or actually a little bit lower, around the 5,315. That was the high of the March 6th. So basically that could be the idea here, but only if we see a drop below the 5,400 level, and like I said, then we could target these slightly lower areas. At the same area here, the index could also test the lower bound of this rising channel formation. So for now, of course, we're just going to continue monitoring this. Certainly we are more bullish than bearish on this one. This could continue traveling higher, further north, but again, because we're still very close to this 5,400 level, be very cautious with that one. And if you are looking for something here, if you are aiming for higher levels here as well, then definitely have your stop loss in place. Probably the suggestion here would be a tighter stop loss, maybe something around the 5,390 level, something like that. So for now, guys, of course, be very careful and continue monitoring. This index is very interesting. If you, like I said, if you haven't looked at it before, I do recommend to look at it, and potentially could squeeze something out of it. Jumping into another index actually, and that's the S&P500. Now looking at this, also I was talking about this one in one of my previous videos last week, and basically I was telling you guys to keep a close eye. Let me just zoom in on here on this one. Keep a close eye on this level right here at around 2820. So basically we did have a nice push here on Friday, broke it to the upside and actually closed above it as well. So what's very interesting here is today we're having a continuation push here to the upside. It's currently sitting next to its R1, which is around the 2831 zone, but the next potential area that we're going to keep an eye on is around this R2, today's R2, which is around the 2841 now. But to be honest, still a level that we're keeping a close eye on slightly above that is the 2848.50 level, approximately there. Just to kind of show you what that level was in the past, this one right here, so it acted as a good area of of resistance on the 25th of July. Also acted as a temporary kind of obstacle here, also acted as a good resistance back here on the 16th of August. So in a way, you could keep an eye on this one. It could be that little obstacle that in the way on this route north, this little level here that could kind of slow down the acceleration. So of course, if it breaks above that, then yep, the next potential target here is around the 2862. But again, like I said, this little obstacle on the road here, the 2848, could be that little annoying level for the bulls. So that's why, guys, for now, be very cautious. We are still more bullish than bearish on this one. If in case this decides to reverse lower and starts dropping below the 2800 level, now this is where it could become a little bit tricky for the bulls, because the bears could take control here and we could see more sellers jumping in and potentially driving this one initially towards the 2765 zone marked near the lows of the 21st of February and also near the low of the 4th of March. But if that fails to withhold, then yep, further declines are possible, and this is where we will aim towards the 2740 or even actually the 2720 area, approximately there, which also coincides with the 200 EMA. So for now, guys, of course, this is looking more bullish than bearish, but then again, continue observing the price action today, and like I said, keep your eyes on this little annoying obstacle here around the 2848 level. So jumping into gold, and gold is an interesting one right now, at the same time being a little bit annoying. So basically it continues to form something like this. It continues to trade above this little short-term tentative, of course, upside support line taken from the low of the 5th of March. For now, to be honest, for now we're just gonna observe the price action, because at this point it would be quite difficult to say where exactly it wants to travel, because in order to kind of, let's say, get more comfortable with higher levels, we would like to see a nice good break above these highs, highs of last week, and probably for better confirmation, maybe we'd be looking at the 1311, something like that. A nice good push above that could, of course, lead this commodity a little bit higher towards the 1315, 16, something like that. But to be honest, this is the level that we're going to be watching closely, because a nice good push above this 13, 15, 16 area, approximately there, a nice good push above that could open the path back up here towards higher areas. Of course, we could be looking at this little obstacle on the way here around the 1320, but another one that we're going to be looking at is the high of the 28th of February, which was around, let me just quickly put that on our chart, around the 1327 zone. So again, a nice good push above the 13, 15, 16 area could open the path towards slightly higher areas, slightly higher zones, but again, we'll move step by step on this one, just in case this suddenly reverses back down and drops lower. But again, that's in the scenario if we see a push above the 13, 15, 16. If we don't see that push, if we see now a reversal back down, which you can see that this is what's happening right now, is trying to kind of retrace a little bit, maybe correct a little bit lower, but let's see if it actually if the bears manage to accomplish that. To be honest, for us to get more comfortable with lower levels, we would like to see a nice good drop, initial drop here, or should I say a break below this upside support line, and then we will target slightly lower areas like the of course the psychological, or actually it would already place the commodity below the psychological 1300 level. So that's why, guys, a drop below the 1300 and also a break below this upside support line could lead toward the next potential target here at around the 1290. And if we do see a move like that, then we'll just reevaluate it again and see what it wants to do, if it wants to actually travel lower, if it wants to break below this 1290. For now, the main thing is, of course, continue observing the price action here, because it's a bit of a tricky one. So from the very short term perspective, you could in a way keep your eyes still on the 1311 level. A nice good pop above that could lead a little bit, this could lead gold a little bit higher. But if this suddenly starts dropping below the 1300 level and starts breaking this upside support line, now this is where it could become a little bit tricky for the bulls, and we could see more sellers jumping in here and potentially driving this one lower. So keep your eyes on this one. DXY. Now the dollar index, certainly from the high that we saw here back on the 7th of March, the index continues to travel lower, continues to trade below this downside resistance line taken from this high of 7th of March. For now, of course, we're still gonna kind of aim a little bit lower, given the fact that it still has some room here towards this medium term, or should I say actually, oh no, it's not a medium term, it's still more of a short term upside support line taken from the low of the 31st of January. It has still some room here in order to kind of test that line. So for now we're still going to target lower a little bit, even though we are seeing this nice rebound here from this level right here around the 96.40. Still, for us, let's say, to get more comfortable with much higher areas, we would like to see a nice good push, of course, above this downside resistance line, and also a nice good push above the 96.70 level, and only then kind of we will target slightly higher areas. But for those who are more on the cautious side, you could in a way wait until this gets back above this level right here around the 96.80, and then which is marked by the highs of last week, or should I say, sorry, I do correct myself, the highs of the 14th of March, so the highs of Thursday. And this way we could target slightly higher areas again, but for now, until we're kind of sitting here below this downside resistance line, we're still going to aim a little bit lower. And like I said, especially if we see a drop below the 96.40, this is where this upside support line could come into play, as we could see a test of it. GBPCAD. Now this one is a very interesting one. And I hope my charts are gonna load up. They're frozen a little bit here. Yep, that's wonderful. So yes, let me just reload this quickly. Right, there we go. So GBPCAD. Now looking at this chart here, guys, still continues to trade above this little short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 15th of February, and of course it's still struggling to overcome this 177.75 level. Now I was talking about this one in one of my previous videos where I was covering GBPCAD. In a way, what we're going to do here is, of course, we're going to wait until we see a nice clear break here above this level. This could be that opening, kind of that gateway towards higher areas like the 179.80 and above that. But for now, you can see this is where the pair is stuck at. It's still still below this 177.75, but still above this short-term upside support line taken from the low of the 15th of February. So for now, we're gonna continue observing this one, see where it wants to go, because for us, let's say, to get more comfortable with lower areas, we would like to see a drop below the 175.55 area, approximately there, marked by the low of the 15th of March, and only then we will aim for lower areas. Like initially, of course, we will aim for this 200 EMA, but then slightly below that we do have this 173.70 also sitting here as a nice potential area of support. But then again, for the downside, we would need to see a nice good drop below the 175.55 level first, and only then we will target lower areas. I'll repeat myself. At this point in time, we're just going to continue observing it and remain neutral. And the last pair I wanted to quickly touch on for this session, EURGBP. Now, had a nice push here today, this morning. Of course, managed to move away from its pivot, managed to break the R1, but found good resistance around the 0.8575 level, maybe just slightly above that, around the 80 zone. So of course, we're still kind of keeping close eye on this, because still you can see that this is trading below this downside resistance line. So overall, we're still kind of negative. The only thing is that from the very short-term perspective, you can see that it managed to push away from this good area of support near the 0.85 level. Of course, we did see a lot of noise here. It violated this level a few times around the 0.8530. I was talking about this level in one of my previous videos. So basically, for now, you can see that it's pushed away higher. It's above the R1 today, but kind of found resistance near the 0.8580 level. Of course, to be honest, there is we can see now a little bit of retracement happening, but to be honest, maybe this is just a small correction before another push higher. And if we start clearing the 0.8575 level, or even actually the 0.8580 level, if we start clearing that one, then you could potentially expect this one to travel a little bit higher towards its 100 EMA, which is around the R2, and that's around the 0.85 0.86 level. So let's round it up probably, and if that fails to withhold, then we could see the EURGBP retesting this downside resistance line. So this downside resistance line has been running here from the high of the 2nd of January. So that's why, guys, be very cautious with this one, be very careful. It is very interesting from the very short-term perspective. It does have a good potential here to travel higher, but again, let's see if it manages to clear its high. It's today's high near the 0.8580. A nice good push back above this, then yep, we could start targeting these higher areas, especially the 0.86 level, which coincides with the R2, today's R2, and the 100 EMA. In terms of the downside, well, we would like to see a drop back down below the 0.8530 level, and then we'll target slightly lower areas. Of course, the main one here could be this recent low here, the low of last week, around the 0.8473 zone, something like that. So this one right here, but again, in order for us to consider that level, we would like to see a drop below the 0.8530 level first. For now, given the situation that we're seeing, given the picture that we're seeing here right now, to be honest, this could be seen just as a small correction before another push higher. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and if you want to join me tomorrow morning in my Traders Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a wonderful evening, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.